What's up everybody, this is Danny. Budget phones are just getting better and better, and you can get a pretty solid phone these days for about $200. But here's one that you probably don't know about, and this is the ZTE GRAND X MAX 2. You may know ZTE better from their Axon line of phones, but let's see what separates this phone from other $200 smartphones out on the market right now. First, you usually don't get this type of large display on a phone of this price, but the GRAND X MAX 2 has a big 6-inch display, and it's an IPS display at 1080p, giving it a pixel density of 367, and the bezels are also nice and narrow, making this a good choice if you use your phone for your main media consumption device. While the phone might feel large for people with smaller hands, I found it usable and was able to fit it in my pocket without problems, but you will definitely know it's there. There's only a single speaker at the bottom, but the sound from it is quite good and it gets pretty loud. The display is nice and bright as well, and at this price point it is one of the nicer displays that I've seen with decent viewing angles, so I think you'll be pleasantly surprised here. Another surprise for me was the large 3,400 milliamp hour battery, and even though that the battery is not removable, I found the battery life to be more than exceptional, for I was getting between 5 and 6 hours of on-screen time, and with moderate use, I was able to get 2 days out of this. So in my experience, a full day with heavy use should be no problem. But if you need it to recharge, there is a USB-C port that you usually find in higher end phones with Quick Charge 2.0 support, so you can get 50 to 60% charge in only 30 minutes by plugging it in. This is definitely a major win. The specs are also pretty impressive. The GRAND X MAX 2 is powered by the 8-core Snapdragon 617 processor with 2 GB of RAM and the Adreno 405 GPU. What I liked is that it has relatively stock software based off of Android Marshmallow, and I found the performance to be quite good with this. In most daily tasks, the interface is pretty snappy and fluid due to the lightweight skin. So what I did was I applied Nova Launcher, and I was able to get a pretty close stock experience, which I found refreshing. It can get bogged down if you run a bunch of apps in the background, but for the most part, I found the performance to be more than acceptable. Even when playing games, I found the frame rates to be smooth, and if you're a gamer, you'll enjoy it with this large display. Dual camera systems are all a rage right now, especially with the more expensive smartphones, but I was surprised to see it here on the GRAND X MAX 2. It has a 13 megapixel sensor along with a 2 megapixel sensor to allow you to change the focus point after you take the shot, and in the camera software it's called the bokeh mode. You just tap to change the focus point, and you can set the intensity of the background blur to give it that nice depth of field look. It doesn't work for all shots, but when it works, it's pretty cool. The camera interface is simple and easy to use with burst shots, and surprisingly, you get full manual controls on this camera. I mean, this is stuff that you see in much more expensive phones. You can take decent photos in good lighting, and while the dynamic range is not the greatest, with the HDR mode, you can pull some more details out of the shot for sure. Don't expect this to be the best camera out there, but it will definitely do for casual shots and social media stuff. The 5 megapixel front-facing camera is average, but it will get the job done. Considering the price on this phone, there's not much to complain about, but there are some downsides. As I mentioned before, the phone might be a little big for some, and even though that the hardware is pretty solid with nice tactile buttons, but the phone is glossy all around, and it can be a major fingerprint magnet, and it can get a little bit slippery. I do love this blue color and the finish with this honeycomb pattern embedded in it, and I think it makes it look unique. Plus, I love the notification light built into the middle capacitive button, but I think a matte option would have made it feel nicer all around. There is no NFC, and you don't get a fingerprint scanner. I think the biggest downside is that as of right now, this thing is only available on Cricket Wireless. And while that's amazing for Cricket customers, I think more people should be able to get their hands on this. I think this phone is too good not to be available everywhere, so make sure you let ZTE know down in the comment section below. If you are a Cricket Wireless customer and $200 is your budget, then I think this is a no-brainer. So what do you guys think about the ZTE GRAND X MAX 2? I think this hits all of the major checkpoints of a great budget device and even more. It has a 1080p display instead of a 720p, it has a micro SD card slot, it has a big battery with good battery life, USB Type-C with quick charging, Bluetooth 4.1, and a relatively stock software experience with Marshmallow on board. That is a lot of value for $200. Alright guys, well that about does it for me. Slap that like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more videos just like this one. And I will see you guys in the next video.